Oh, we are good. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Break of Debates here on the Narik Chase channel. This is episode 128, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look at this right quick. I don't want to. I'm gonna have to end up changing that because I messed up on the numbers. We so many different shows. It's kind of hard to keep up at times. And oh, look, it's starting to mess up again. I don't know what that is, so bear with. If the screens look like it went to all hell and everything, it's my streaming uh, program that's doing it. See, but anyways, having said that, let's get on with it. We are going to be talking about the Once Upon a Time television series. Now we haven't seen season 7, so we're just going to just keep everything mapped down to the first 6 seasons. I have with me Madam B, and we're going to be talking about Once Upon a Time. Hopefully, Ken can join us because we're waiting. We were waiting on him, but we decided to go ahead and go over the show. So without further ado, let's get into Once Upon a Time. Now, tell me your general thoughts about this interesting and pretty entertaining series.
Well, when I first heard about it, what was well, actually, it always starts back with the parents. My mom was actually watching it. I wasn't. I was like kind of into it, but then I'm like, okay. And then she was kind of into also Haven also, and then I'm like, okay. And then got down here, started off watching it. It is actually a pretty good show. It takes a certain twist and turns for all of our fairy tale and storybook characters. It gives them a new meaning. Makes them actually makes us see things different.
Mm-hmm. I will admit that they like the best thing about the show is really the presentation of the characters as well as their stories.
Mm-hmm.
As long as every character's story is switched up from what we traditionally know to be their fairy tale story. Like we found out that some of the bad guys in the series are multiple bad guys to multiple people, and our interpretation of them, they're usually like one. So when we're talking about Rumpelstiltskin, he was the bad guy to he was the beast to Belle.
Yeah,
he was
it all kind of started and ended with him, like pretty much, because it always turned back to him, like well, since we're not going season for season, or we was just talking in general. Okay, like the Black Fairy did not know that Rumpelstiltskin was a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And other ones with the Queen, Rumpelstiltskin was a part of that. So it's like it boiled down to one, but they all had their run-ins. Even like, I'm like, dang, he was living back then. Like that's how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
Like he always had a part in something.
Yeah, his presence as well as Regina's presence was pretty much the unifying thing for almost every character that's in the series.
Mm-hmm.
Either every character had some run-in with either one of them two. And like we were saying, both of them actually were like they were enemies. Like we were saying, Rumpelstiltskin was the beast to Belle. He was the crocodile to Captain Hook.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Who is this? Of course, Regina was the evil queen to Snow. And I actually think, was she responsible for Sleeping Beauty too? I think she was.
But all in all, even the cruelest of them, they always have their story, which we did find out. So it like, okay, like if you don't know, okay, like oh man, the Queen deserves everything that had coming to her. Rumpelstiltskin did too, and then come to find out that
they're really deep characters.
It's just totally different.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing that the show just fully establishes that everybody has a story, and the stories, regardless of they're good or bad, they're actually just really good. And the stories, like the motivations behind the characters, were meaningful. They're not really like, you know, they did a great job of making these motivations and backstories very meaningful, and you can relate to almost every character,
even the ones that you might not see often.
Or have you? Oh, there you go, King came in.
Here.
Been a while, guys, but we got Ken back on the scene.
And you thought you missed me.
We were just
for that invite to get here.
Yeah, we were just go ahead and getting into the show. We were talking about the Once Upon a Time and just generally like how well, like honestly, this is probably one of the most well written shows because it's so complex. And
But you have multiple characters, multiple storylines. You have not only the fiction that you've already known as the characters before they came into Storybrooke, you know, we all Peter Pan, Evil Queen, all of them. I mean, you had already established storylines, and now you're taking those and putting them into Storybrooke into modern time and having to relate. So, I mean, you have a lot of writing levels that you have to do for this show. And I thought that was always pretty impressive of how they were able to keep everything kind of, I guess, straight and organized. There's another word I'd like to use for it, but that's kind of what's in my thought process.
I would say structured because
structured.
Because you can they never. It's like they tied it together in some instances, but you never seen. I don't ever think you ever actually saw like because the way they tell the stories is very disjointed. In some episodes, they'll tell you stuff that happened closer to the time period, the present day, and then sometimes they'll tell you something that happened even further back.
Like on the episode, it like opens on episode in Storybrooke, and then all of a sudden it switches to maybe the past before the curse, and then it switches to like what they did even after the curse, but they're not in Storybrooke yet.
Yeah.
So it kind of, you have to know which ones to follow.
It's not like a whole show that you could just jump in and miss an episode and come back in and hope to God you stay with it.
If you miss a couple episodes, I think you could kind of keep stay into it. But if you've never seen this show, don't start watching it at season 3.
Yeah, you'll be completely lost. Totally lost.
Yes. But the show itself is, and it's a fantastic idea. There have been several attempts to make kind of like a one unified shared universe for like fairy tales. Shrek is one of them.
Yes.
In Shrek, you know, all of multiple fairy tales are there. I can't think of any more. To be honest.
Well, Shrek was really, I think that's what the starter may have been for the series, because you had so many genres of characters from all the I say fantasy books, from all the Grimm's tales and all that stuff combined into the movie in a humorous fashion. But they were in the make-believe world per se. They never stepped foot into what we consider our reality. So, you know, for them, but you know, you had to take those characters, zork them, and then put them in our time frame, and nobody knows who anybody is. You know, at this point, we don't know. They have all their alias names because of the curse, and then as the show evolves, you learn who's who through flashbacks, through their actions, and even then, some of the, you know, like Little Red Riding Hood was not who we thought it was.
Yes.
Big Bad Wolf wasn't who we thought it was, or she was. You know, so they did a little gender swapping here and there. They did. There was a lot of good playing because you didn't know exactly who you were dealing with, even as the series progressed. I mean, honestly, I kind of stopped watching for a while because I just kind of lost interest in it. But the concept of the show was great.
Yes.
And so I would read up on episodes and stuff.
I just thought about another one where it's like a whole bunch of fairy tales crossed over. And that's next to like Disney Infinity and all that. Fables, that the game, The Wolf Among Us.
Oh, okay.
That's the comic book strip that is not comic book strip, the graphic novels that it's based off of. All of the fairy tales were taken from their world, been brought into the real world, and they have to interact with each other and stuff. Because the main protagonist of the series is the big bad wolf, and in this one he's good, which is trying to be a good guy. You should play that game.
How about Hoodwinked? We're talking about your characters. Hoodwinked had a lot of the characters from variant other movies, like more like your holidays, like Easter Bunny, the Three Little Pigs.
Oh yeah, they were in that.
Yeah,
that was actually a pretty interesting one. I didn't like the second.
Hoodwinked.
The first one. The first one was like well written. The way they did all the 4 stories that they had, and they put them all together, and how they fit together,
and in the mystery on top of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's another good one. But
in this one, it's like even more storylines, and it's all gonna come together in one big thing. So you're watching maybe Snow's storyline, and then it just switches over to back when before the curse, and you're watching Charming's storyline, and then you're watching his mother's storyline, or his brother's father, or whatever, and it's all going to come together in one way or another.
I like how it does kind of it does some of the episodes where if Red Riding Hood is going through something in the episode in the present day, it'll show her going through something pre-curse in the fairy tale world. Mm-hmm. So you're seeing 2 of her storyline running along each other. And for those who don't know what the series is about, this is what Once Upon a Time is about. And it's a good thing I wrote this summary right here. It tells a story of Storybrooke, which is where all the fairy tale characters have been placed in our real world. They, at the beginning of the series, are under this curse where they don't know who they are, where they came from. They're just living their ordinary lives, kind of stuck in this time loop. Mm-hmm. And the lost child of Snow White and Prince Charming comes to this small town with her son, who lives there, and she ends up breaking a curse. Everybody ends up remembering who they are, and some of the show's story is them trying to get back to the fairy tale world, mm-hmm. and while they had to deal with like the bad guys, they're a lot of their bad guys that are trying to do some crazy stuff. And the thing I like about it too is not only is it fairy tales, it borrows a lot of Disney characters as well. Hercules, Hades. What's the girl from Cruella de Vil? Who? What's that one chick? The girl with the bow and arrow, the Scottish one. Brave. Brave. The girl from Brave.
Meredith.
Yes. And they actually work. They actually work for the most part. Mm-hmm. They even brought Frankenstein into it. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah. They kind of each season kind of added, like we had the Wizard of Oz with the Bad Witch, the Green Witch, and the White Witch.
I love her story. You can understand why she is the way she is. Like, I really enjoyed her story as well. And she even kind of did that where she was like a bad guy to multiple people, and it was like different incarnations. Mm-hmm. But that's basically what the bulk of the show is. Now, y'all go ahead. I'm going to ask. Who y'all favorite characters?
Well, already. I would. Ken, why don't you go? I'm trying to think.
I liked Hook, and I liked Regina, which is the bad witch.
She was my favorite character.
And, I also liked Mr. Gold up to a point. For maybe a season or two, and then he kind of got too repetitive. But I liked how Hook turned out. Originally was a bad guy, but was actually basically set up by Mr. Gold to be who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And then he eventually learned to kind of turn his ways around. He's still got that bad boy genre, but he's still trying to be that kind of a goody guy, bad guy. You know, he still's got that little twist. Regina was basically a character created out of jealousy. And everything that she did was basically revenge until she was in the same situation that her mom and family were put in with her originally. So when she had the, I can't think of his name, her adopted son, Henry, you know, that's where he becomes the play in the role that, you know, she developed a love and care and concern for, and would do anything to save her or save him. Sorry. And it was, but she, you know, her character was just pure badass, had revenge, nothing but loved her kid, but was trying to always take over. And eventually that changed where she, you know, at the end of the series, she grew, she learned, and changed her entire style. You know, she still cares. And that's why I think the character was so good is, you know, we went from 180 out, but she had the biggest growth, biggest learning, biggest everything. She was pretty mean and wicked, and don't get me wrong, she knocked off a lot of people.
And she looked good doing it.
To me, that was what the character was, just how she wanted to be the center of everything because it was taken away from her when that was the whole thing. That's what started it all.
Mm-hmm.
From Snow White to her. And that's that's where the whole everything came off that simple loss of love from her parents. Boom. And jealousy too.
Yep.
So, but those were my two favorite characters that I mean, there were some great, you know, learning who the wolf characters and things like that, but I think those were my two favorites because they both kind of went through the same process. Each in their own story, each of their own right. So, next.
I like, I was saying, Regina was my favorite character. Well, I ain't gonna say she is my favorite character. Because like you said, she does have the biggest development arc. And they made her suffer. I don't know if the writers hated the character or the actress or what. They made her character suffer. Every season, something bad happened to her.
Whether it was Robin Hood or her powers or her stepsister or
just every single season. Nobody suffered more than she did. I really did enjoy her. I really did enjoy her character. I liked the chick off of Frozen.
What
Elizabeth Mitchell?
In fact, I liked both of the sisters in this series. I really did like them. Yeah, feel free to throw some more people in. I'm trying to think.
Well, I like the well, besides Mr. Gold up to some point and Regina, I did like the green girl, the Wicked Witch. Yeah,
I liked her too. I like the Rumpelstiltskin persona more than I like the Mr. Gold persona.
Yes.
See, with the Rumpelstiltskin, you knew what he was the entire time.
Yeah, there was no guessing at the character. He was as advertised.
Yes, and Mr. Gold
was
back and forth. Yeah, he had like
he would be. I want to be good. I want to be bad. I don't want to be the what was it the dark
one.
Yeah, the dark one or whatever, you know, and always hiding stuff from Belle. He was trying to always be good and turn his life around, but he could just never get away with it. And then he had his son.
He was doing all this other stuff, all the evil stuff.
He was pretty much
the main sneaking around all the time.
Like most of the time, he was like the main protagonist.
Because he just never did stay good. Like he'll just take it off people. Yeah, I'm good, but then like I said, in secret.
No, I mean he wasn't like good. He would he'd be like more like the anti villain, where he would be. Well, I'm not gonna hurt you, but I'm not gonna help you unless you help get something I want. Then he would switch back over between the anti-villain and being the main villain. Or if he wasn't the main villain, he would be like the secondary main villain.
Yeah, he was back up.
Oh my God. And that's what made his character so repetitive. Because every season he did the same thing. He would do something. He'd be a douchebag to a certain point, and then he'll flip. And then the beginning of it, he'd be all right to a certain point. Then he'll flip back to the douchebag mode. And he kept doing it every single season. And the reason I ever liked that was because it took away from potential stuff the other bad guys could have been doing.
Right. Like when, and I still say they should have went somewhere with this beside that little piece when Emma was the dark one.
I agree with you on that. Because if Mr. Gold fell to the wayside with the joining the dark side, Emma should have been like going.
Yeah, because Emma was just as strong as the rest of them. So she should have just when she had it in her, they should have let her do something with it. They didn't let her do nothing with
it. Yeah, she should have been bad.
Last long enough to do anything really bad.
She should have been doing bad stuff, and then it was up to our heroes to save her. But the whole time she was basically saving herself.
Hook became the dark one. I think he did a little bit more, but he
went. He was ready. He was like, the mascara on his eyes, the eyeliner got darker.
got a new hook and everything.
Yeah, that hook was shiny in it. All that little the rust speck gone. He was ready. I like
have some fun.
And I also think to a certain point, I like as much as I like the series, they did kind of play it a little safe in certain parts. Like Hades. I liked Hades. The guy that they picked Hades and everything, I thought he was a good Hades. But I'm like, he didn't really do anything. He wasn't threatening.
No.
And I'm like, okay, then hell, he should be like hell raising something. He should be going ham. But it was more like, in fact, a lot of the bad guys did this. They were not like full brute forces. They were all like, okay, we'll just manipulate people to do stuff.
Well, Maleficent, and them three that came, Ursula
and Cruella.
And it was somebody else.
No, that was her. There was them three.
Oh, Maleficent, Ursula and Cruella. Okay, yeah. Yeah, they could have had a little bit more, but it was like they was wanting something to turn them good. Like Ursula, her voice. Cruella.
No, she was just bad.
But there was always something in her that she wanted.
She was just bad.
And Maleficent,
she was just mad about what happened to her child.
Yeah, with Prince, what Charming and Emma did, they took the evil from her child and put it in from their child, put it in her child, which is kind of messed.
That was messed up. But they didn't really go anywhere with that. Like as soon as they found out that was a daughter, you never see them anymore. They went off into the sunset. They really didn't go nowhere with that. But and then it goes back to the whole thing with the whole Mr. Gold, where he was that half a season where those three were the main bad guys. He was the driving force behind them. Mm-hmm. And it was like, no, y'all supposed to be like three of like the baddest characters. Y'all should incapacitate Mr. Gold or something, and then rain hell upon people.
Now the first dark one, that was that
Merlin's ex-girlfriend. I think that's what it was.
Now, okay, that
was her name?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh.
Okay, what did you think of her being the first dark one and how they did it?
Honestly, I think it's actually a good way to have had her been the dark one, because he ended up becoming basically, I guess, the light one. So it kind of makes sense. It kind of does make sense that she would be the dark one.
Okay.
I mean, it kind of does. Her boyfriend became the light side of the force, and she was like, "Well, I gotta have a piece of that pie too." Then she became the dark side of the force.
Okay, so what did you think of Merlin?
Oh yeah. On the side note, Hook did kill him.
Kill who?
Merlin. That was a bad thing he did.
Oh yeah, he did. It was kind of messed up. Merlin came in there all.
Merlin didn't get no chance.
He really didn't have no screen time as far as.
I don't know. What's his
good
name?
Looking dude.
Was that guy Merlin? No, I don't think that was Merlin. Merlin was the old guy with the beard, wasn't it? The one that got sucked into that hat.
I think he was.
No, Merlin was. Hold up. Okay, before in the beginning of the 5th season, at the end of the 4th season, Emma became the Dark Swan. Then they went into the 5th season with her becoming the Dark Swan, and everybody is back in Storybrooke.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the Dark Swan, got all this illuminance or whatever you want to call it going on. She didn't do nothing with it, dressed in all that black. But
who's the bad guy? The one all in black.
The woman in black.
But yeah, it is Merlin.
Okay, yeah, you're right. The Sorcerer Supreme.
Didn't really do much.
Merlin, better known as the Sorcerer and briefly known as the Usher. Who does he look like? A little bit. Kind of reminds you of Usher, huh?
I don't know.
But outside of that, I think that he got a lot of great characters, and I did like Ruby, who was Red Riding Hood. Mm-hmm. But the biggest thing, besides the really good characters and the good backstories, is the interpretations themselves. Ken had said earlier, I think you said it too. Well, in this interpretation, Little Red Riding Hood is the wolf.
Mm-hmm.
We have.
And she's also.
They end up turning and making her gay, but for some reason, it's like, why? I can understand if y'all had like subliminal messages about that throughout the entire series that she liked girls.
It's like every show wants to cater to a demographic that really is. Who cares? It has no bearing on the story whatsoever.
Right.
Like zero. But they want to do it so they get the audience to watch the show because, oh, by the way, Little Red Riding Hood likes girls. Come on, people.
What's the 3 or 2 that they had?
Come on.
One, Red Riding Hood, and was it somebody else?
Alice.
Alice.
Yes.
Because Alice and Mulan ended up together, right?
No, Alice. No, Alice disappeared. I think Mulan went with Ruby to find Alice.
Okay.
I think it was something along that line. And it's like with Supergirl. The whole, okay, look, I don't mind if they like girls or whatever, but you just dropped it. Like it was like
it has no bearing on the story.
That's like if Prince Charming comes in trying to save everybody, goes in the back room after 6 seasons and starts smoking crack. There is nothing that happened in the other series, in another seasons that said this man was on crack. I'm like, God, dog.
Where did that come from?
They just dropped the bomb.
Okay, but after that, there is one person that has to deal with all of this and has to, put all this in his mind. Although he kind of brought it all together, is Henry. Henry, he was kind of the believer. And then it's like it was up to him to keep everybody from actually going crazy. Basically, it's like, yeah, we can do this, and stuff like that.
He has been pretty much the driving force behind the entire Once Upon a Time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he's the one that broke the curse to start it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
His belief and being in there at the same time allowed the clock to move forward.
That led him to Emma, which in turn helped turn Regina, which kind of helped them turn gold to some extent. Which I don't know. It's like one season he was like, I care about my grandson, and then the rest of it is like, I don't care about him anymore. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I like him. He's the most important thing. Wait, kill him. Just kill him.
I don't mind. Just I think it's when he found out that Belle had a child, and then he was like, well, who's Henry?
Yeah, and that part where all of a sudden she had the baby and she sent him off. And then all of a sudden he's at their door fully grown. And it, kind of brings back to Rumpelstiltskin. Because who raised him? Rumpelstiltskin's mom. So it's kind of like...
Once Upon a Time is like the fairy tale version of Star Wars. The whole series is about all the seeding and stuff, but the main family is the Skywalkers. That the whole series.
Yep, in this case, it's the Charming family.
Yeah.
And
Charming family.
And that's what made it so repetitive. I mean, I think it's great and interesting how they tied everybody together. Thought that was pretty cool, but they kept being. It's like you have a whole town full of people. Why couldn't the black fairy be this person's grandma or something like that? Why couldn't the black fairy be the blue fairy's mom turned bad or something?
See, at first I thought that the dark curse was created by Gold and given to Regina to cast, but it was created by his mom, which is like kind of like after Rumple, it's his mom that goes way back to all of that and to how it started and everything.
It's now that time it was kind of weird because we were like, so wait a minute.
Yeah, everybody was starting to believe that Gold made the curse and gave it to Regina to cast. So
and it was like, so is the black fairy the dark one? No, it was like no. The way they presented it made it seem like the black fairy existed like 100 years before Gold was even born.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, so the black fairy is his mom, but so she got with a human dad after like 100 years, and then you end up finding out that it was actually she became the dark one when he was born. I mean, she became the black fairy when he was born. And I was like, I'm getting confused now. I'm getting confused.
How do these all tie together? I don't know.
But I still would have liked to see some like the bad guys be like powerhouses. Like she was the black fairy, but she didn't do anything. Like she was all, like I said, all the bad guys were trying to manipulate people, but it was never like the black fairy said, all right, I'm putting everybody to sleep. And then it was only like 6 people that she couldn't turn to sleep. And then they had to figure out how to wake up everybody or some stuff like that. Or she was like Hades, I'm gonna make hell on earth, and they gotta. I'm gonna go get the mother boxes and bring Darkseid here or something. I don't know.
I'm Darkseid. Welcome.
I got the Infinity Stones. I wanted them to do something like that.
It took somebody who had their heart broken and who was in love, but the mother wouldn't allow it. And it took her to actually cast a spell that she just, and she had the good bit of it. Everybody was under a spell except for her in Storybrooke, and she loved it.
Her and Gold.
Yeah. Or was it?
I don't know. Gold always played like he didn't know what was going on, but he actually did.
Yeah.
He knew everything that was going on. He had like little microphones and junk everywhere, I'm sure.
But like I said, even Gold, even though he was a douchebag, had motivation. And for everything that happens. If you could think of any moment that was like your favorite, or even the episode, and I brought that up because I want to that episode where everybody was singing. That episode was awesome.
Didn't see it.
That was a good episode. You should watch it.
Well, I kind of didn't get to finish. I had to read most of the end of the series to see how it ended. So that's a lot of Netflixing right there.
It actually ended on a good note.
You got seven out seasons of that show.
I still say they should have let Hook bite the bullet. I like Hook, but I'm like, you can't kill off Robin Hood and then say you can't kill off Robin Hood, then Hook, and then say Hook comes back. It's messed up.
It really was messed up. Like they just
and Robin Hood was awesome. He was a pretty cool character.
Came back a douche, but
And, I mean, they brought him back, but it was clever how they brought him back. But I'm like, why y'all had to kill off that character? And there are some characters, and this is why I say the show does play it safe sometimes. Because David died. They brought him back.
Yeah.
What? Did he die?
He
he was about to die.
And Snow gave him half of her heart. So now they're working with half a heart, which is so sweet. But
I love that whole heart thing where you be like,
got it, it's mine.
I like the way they did certain things, like the heart. You did something evil, it turned, black. And Regina was black as coal.
And you can control people with
right,
it.
and she pulled out Snow's heart, and she was like, and she said something. She was like, I don't have to wait too long. Snow never did anything wrong, but her heart was turning. So I like the way they did the little heart bit.
Mm-hmm. And I give it to the series too. The graphics, like the CGI effects, I was like, okay, they're crappy. But as the series kept going, it got a lot better. Like some of the grand shots of like the castle, the inside of the castle, you could tell there was CGI. But then, like as the series progressed, it was like the practical they started implementing a little bit more of, and the CGI started looking better and better. Some of the monsters, they still look crappy, but but they actually did. And I had to give it 2 thumbs up for the costume designs.
I loved all of Regina's dresses.
Regina came in there on fleek.
Oh my god!
Where's my daughter at? She would love to hear that term being used right now.
They added a little bit of back then and now, and I loved every costume or dress she had on when she was the evil queen, and it was just amazing. Like even Snow couldn't hold a candle.
It's only one other person that matched her.
Rumpelstiltskin.
That boy came in there fresh.
All the time. His cane, his suits.
No, not that. Not Mr. Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah, he had them.
That boy came up in there with the collars up and everything. Had that that fairytale Armani on. The little plume sticking out of the side. That boy was rocking it. Oh, them two made the show. And like I said, I love the Rumpelstiltskin persona. Mm-hmm. But it's the Mr. Gold that kind of messes it up because he's too back and forth.
He's more modernized and not so much fairy. He's like an evil business guy like Kingpin or something. Yeah, is what he kind of reminded me of. He didn't have that. Yes, he had the knowledge of story of the original story world, but with the mentality, because he was the only one. It was him and Regina were the only two that they knew they were not going to curse the cursed world. Mm-hmm. Everybody else was blank to what they were.
And I also think it's because like his persona changed, like his mannerism. Because remember when he was Rumpelstiltskin, he would giggle a lot and stuff, and had that funny way he talked and the way he would move his hands and stuff. When he's Mr. Gold, he doesn't do any of that, and it makes it seem like it is like 2 different people.
But he still had the cane.
Yeah. The one thing about, and I think this is one of the parts where it could have been improvement, was when he lost his powers. They should have left him without his powers because he did go and do something. He actually did something heroic. And then they end up turning around and giving him his powers back. I was like, why did you do that? Mm-hmm. There goes that development arc.
Yeah, you could have had him having to struggle and deal with the fact that he's got no go-go juice left.
That's what happened. That's what happened to the Wicked Witch.
Yep, they zapped her.
They got up zapped her, but I'm like, wow. So that's what you're gonna do. But what did y'all think about like the travel between worlds and stuff? The magic beans.
Oh, that was actually well, to me it was pretty good. Actually have a use for the beans instead of just selling them and making all that growth. But yeah, I like it that it can open portals.
And I like how rare it was to be able to do it. Because think about it, the Mad Hatter, he could. Mm-hmm. Then there was the beans, which weren't common at all.
Yeah.
Then there was the Wicked Witch. Her wand could do it. And whatever that wand she had was. Ariel, I don't know how she was able to. Maybe deep sea somehow she was able to do it, but she had to go. She had to go into water to do it.
Yeah.
And those are like the four ways. All right.
Oh, the genie.
Yeah, I felt so sorry for him, but he was a douchebag and a simp. But he kind of got what he deserved.
Who, Aladdin?
No, the genie.
Oh.
Then got the nerve to sit there and say, "I want to be with you forever." He got his wish.
Oh yeah, I remember that was the dude from the Mummy.
Mm-hmm.
Or was that no? That was
No. That was Jafar.
Okay.
Which Jafar was a totally underplayed character.
Yeah.
He was really underplayed.
Okay, what about we still have enough time. What about the Arthur? The one who was, before
in the book.
And then Henry, who became the Arthur.
This is why I said it messed up with that. They should have had that arc be the last arc.
Yep.
So that way,
the end.
Yeah, Henry would take up the mantle of being the author, because when you think about it, he never did anything with it. I mean, he knew not to do anything with it, because but it's like they should have that should have been the last arc. They had to fight the person that could do whatever the hell he wanted.
Yeah, because when the Arthur, he met Cruella and wrote something out and it appeared, it was like, okay, was he doing all of that, happened in Storybrooke and all that, or did he, I don't know, it's like, did he have control, or what could he do, what can he do?
He could basically alter reality. That was basically his power.
It passed on to Henry.
And like I said, the reason why I said it was he had that type of power. They should have left it to question what he could do by making that be the last episode, where he probably said, "And they live happily ever after." That would have been the finale, the series finale.
Close.
Yep, that would have been a good end.
The book opened in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and now they got season 7.
And I'm interested to see the season 7. And I'm not one of those going to be like, well, everything got wrapped up in the original series.
You're talking about me, huh?
But it's like, because there's still so many different stories they can go with. Tarzan, go back to see what happened to Mulan. They got other bad guys.
But they're starting over.
The who?
They're starting over.
They did?
Yeah, they're starting over with Henry.
Kind of reset.
Yeah, it's kind of a reset, but
it makes sense.
But it's with Henry. But why?
Just think about it. You can't bring the old cast back into it.
Let's see. I think who's going to be in there?
You about to name like 3 people.
No, Emma, Regina.
Go ahead with that number 3. But it makes sense. It's like it's like the passing of the torch.
It's basically going to follow, I guess, Cinderella, and which I don't get. I thought Cinderella was married, but she was to Henry. No,
was that Cinderella? The young girl?
When they showed Cinderella, that was Cinderella, right, with the baby. She was pregnant, right? Was that Cinderella?
No, that wasn't Cinderella. You saw at the beginning of the series who David was with before he got with Mary Margaret?
No.
Oh.
No, I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the one in the restaurant.
I don't know.
Yeah, I bet you I'm like,
you know, I kind of,
yeah,
I don't know, but I think his series still got potential. They just got to quit with the SJW stuff, which did kind of poke his head here and there, and quit with the repetitive stuff that they tend to do sometimes. Like I hope somebody convinced them to bring out an 8th season and introduce even more characters. I'm serious. Because
I don't know. I think it's kind of burned its course. I mean, that's
if we can have 11 seasons of Frasier, I think we can do good with Once Upon a Time. They came out with 10 seasons of Smallville. How many seasons they got of Supernatural?
About 13.
Going on 11. Have they yet stopped anybody?
They're canceling everything now, so
yeah, they're canceling.
I know. Did you hear they canceled The Expanse?
They canceled Ash versus Evil Dead.
I kind of saw that coming.
Ah, man, I like that.
But I bet somebody's gonna pick it up though. See, The Expanse is such a good series that it's they got to get to the point where they're gonna have to a lot of like sci-fi is making us. It's kind of like Fox. Remember when Fox had all them good series and then they just start dropping them all like flies and putting on these other stupid series? What the heck are you thinking? And then they bring them back and like, oh, our bad.
Yeah,
well, sci-fi is starting to do that same crap now, and with the series Expanse. But I think either Netflix or Amazon Prime is going to grab that series, and I hope they do because it's such a good series.
Oh, before we forget, we never did really get into like our favorite moments. I guess I started off since I got one at the end of I think the third season when they got back from traveling through time, and then Elsa started popped into the picture, and then it showed her walking, and the camera was behind her, and you see all the stuff freezing behind her.
Yeah.
And then that was the end of the season.
When she first showed up in the barn.
Yes, that was badass. That was one of my favorite moments.
Well, let's see. I do like the moment when, I guess Belle and Belle and
oh my Lord.
Belle and Rumple got on like a good page and they were married, and he took her to like I guess the Beast Castle, and she was dressed up like, of course, Belle from the movie or book or TV show.
All of the above.
Yeah, all of the above. And then the way he did it, he just snapped, and there he was, all in this Armani and, and all that Versace and all the plumes. He just snapped, and then she was in her dress, and then I like that. I really liked that. It was a good part. Anyway,
I think
it was.
Oh, my nose! I'm like, I gotta say, one of my least favorite parts again. Merlin, when he got murdered.
Wow.
He didn't do nothing. Here you got the Sorcerer Supreme.
Most powerful character in the literature world. And
the
he
first
was
Doctor Strange.
Yep.
And he got... and it was stupid how he died. I was thinking there's gonna be some badass fight between him and the dark one, and then he lost. But no, he was like, gotcha. I was like, wow.
What? Let's hit that on instant replay. Didn't even have a chance to scream.
I think another great moment too was when one of my favorite moments is when Regina was talking to someone. I think it was her mother when she came back, and she was like, and she called them idiots. She was like, she said something. She was talking to her mom. She was like, Henry and those idiots. I don't know, something about that line and how she referred to them, because she does think of them as idiots for like half the show. But I will say one of the most moving moments was episodes where you see Prince Charming and what's the name? Snow White. They can't be awake at the same time.
That's like the movie.
It was like when the evil queen took all the evil out of herself. When Regina removed herself from the evil queen put a curse on them to where one of them will always be asleep. So in the daytime, Charming will be up, then he'll kiss me. Snow White, she'll wake up and he fall asleep. And I thought that was pretty like. And then there was a part where she like break down. She did break down because she was like, I don't know if how I can do this without you, which is kind of humorous. I only laughed because he was just that bad boy was knocked out.
This is, I think, season 7.
And one of my favorite characters is Mulan, but she never really got a moment.
No, she was such a briefly introduced character into like maybe season 1 or season 2? I think they went through the portal of the hat. Is where she came from.
Wouldn't say anything to like what she was really looking for. She was like, she was protecting.
Like they never gave her like an arc. She was always helping somebody else with theirs.
Yeah, she didn't get her own like run.
Yeah, and just like the Mad Hatter, I like the Mad Hatter, but they introduced him that one season. He got his head cut off, even though he was still alive. That was the last you heard of him.
Poof.
That was the last you heard of him. And he was one of my favorite characters too. What do you think about the whole Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? Now, I did like them.
I like that they went into the more classical monsters at bringing that character in, and how he was super, super smart.
Mm-hmm. And the Hyde version was really strong too, and he, even though they subdued him with magic, but
yeah.
But I did like him. I did like that incarnation of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
They separated Regina from the evil queen, or tried to get rid of her evil out of her with Dr. Hyde and Jekyll's formula.
Yeah,
they used it to create the separate personality, but it ended coming back as the queen reformed as a whole separate person.
Like,
and then that was like the end of season 4 or 5. I can't remember. I lost track of that point. But
I think it was 5. Because the 6th season, the 6th season, the first half of it was the Evil Queen, and then the second half of it was the Black Fairy, which I did like how they concluded the whole Evil Queen bit, where Regina took both their hearts out and split them and put them together. So it was a mixture of good and evil, and put them both and put them both in each other.
Yeah.
So I did like that. I really did like that. I will say I was disappointed with the evil, not the Evil Queen, the Black Fairy, how she died. Yeah, because Mr. Gold killed her. I was like, well, why you didn't do that 6 episodes ago?
If it was that easy, why didn't you do it?
And also, I like how his dad was Peter Pan.
Yeah, that is like.
Even though he kind of was like, again, with the villains, they do a lot of talking and manipulating people, but they don't really like, I don't like you, stuff like that.
Peter Pan was ruthless.
No, the most ruthless person on there was Regina. But second to her was Rumpelstiltskin, because he did a lot of dick moves on people.
Well, Peter Pan was mean too.
No, he was mean, but you didn't see him like, what did Regina do? She got mad. She just do like this. And it's like,
press your heart and kill your ass right there.
What happened when she started singing that song? She killed 2 of the guards.
We need some extras. Security guards, please.
Thing is, I don't know. We'll keep her. They changed up the Cinderella storyline, and then changed up the people too.
Yes.
The Cinderella in season 7 is gonna be Dominican, so might as well be light skinned black, and the one in season 1 was white. And that's why I say that Cinderella in the restaurant, she was pregnant. So, and they helped her. So it's like they're following her and Henry's storyline, like, okay. And that's what I don't get. After everything Henry went through, he just gonna forget. I know he loves Storybrooke, and that's why he forgot.
Yeah.
Goodness. So it's like I said, it's a repeat.
I get a comment on this video saying, "Good luck, bro," 3 weeks ago when I just shot with the video shooting now.
Maybe somebody's time clock's off.
We've been on this thing for 3 weeks.
Have we time traveled again? Did somebody forget to set the clock?
But like I said, personally, I think. Oh, no wonder. Oh, this was a different. Oh, my bad. I'm stupid. That was a different video. I thought it was this one. My bad. Sorry. False time traveling. But I mean, I really do like this series. I really did. I love the storytelling. I like the music. I thought the characters were great. There was a lot of great moving moments as well. Like some of the moments between Elsa and her sister, even though they weren't together in the same time period or even the same world. Mm-hmm. Like those moments, and even how they gave backstory to Elsa's character. That was one of my favorites. To where her auntie had her ability and how everybody forgot about her auntie because of what happened. Mm-hmm. Like I thought that was freaking awesome. I like how they played with the fairies. I like the development of one of the most badass dwarfs ever on film. Grumpy. Why he became grumpy and everything. I thought that was awesome. Tinkerbell too. I like her.
Blue fairy.
I like the blue fairy, but I feel like they didn't do enough with her because you have all of these bad guys popping up that can use magic. She should have been one of the main driving forces to help combat that, and she never really did. She never really had a moment. I can't even think of one cool moment that I was like, she's awesome. Like I don't see it.
Oh man. I just like the diversity of the series in itself. I mean, granted, I didn't watch all 7 seasons,
and we still haven't seen the 7th one.
And I just like the fact that I like to see the characters that we've seen in storybooks, Disney movies, get a face, a reality, a human tone. But the fact that they kind of mixed it up and nobody knew who they were, and then after they knew who they were, you know, how much of their persona changed to what they were without it, and then what they learned with it, and how they utilized their, I guess, abilities and stuff to, you know, each season always had a baddie. You know, the dark one, whether it be Rumpelstiltskin or Emma, or I like to use the word baddie. Baddie of the season, you know, the Frozen, you know, when Queen Elsa showed up looking for her sister. You know, Hook, you know, there was a lot of cool things. And even some of the, you know, changing around the characters a little bit, you know, gender bending them a little bit. Or their backgrounds are just slightly different, you know. It was kind of cool. And it was great for the first few seasons. Like I say, I just kind of got a little over it because they kept, I think, to me, I got overdumped on characters, you know, because you weren't really sure what the heck was going on after a while. Especially if you missed a few episodes, you're like, huh? How did that happen?
Like I didn't mind the characters, just some of the stories that just kept being repetitive. And like I said, most of it was around Mr. Gold's character.
Yes. How do we kill the Dark One? How do we get rid of the Dark One? How the Dark One curse go bye-bye?
And it's like, and like I said, he become the bad guy again. And then after getting his butt kicked and learning a lesson one season, he'll turn around and do the exact same thing again.
Until finally he becomes the fourth of all the Dark Ones.
Which he didn't do nothing with that either. I'm like, if that's the case, then I'll be pulling an Anakin right now. And, you know, we control the galaxy. Make things the way we want them to be.
Join me. Join the dark side, Emma.
Mr. Gold, you're breaking my heart. I mean, like, I wanted, like I said, after about the first 3 seasons, all of that Mr. Gold stuff out the window. Maybe if there was a point where Mr. Gold did what Regina did and split himself from the Dark One.
Ooh, so that way that would have been interesting.
That would have made sense.
That would have been a pretty cool fight too.
Yeah, that way you can actually keep Mr. Gold's character and actually have the Rumpelstiltskin be the Dark One and actually stay the Dark One. The whole like the next 4 seasons, they're trying to put him back in. I don't know, put him in a box or something. I don't know.
Well, they had that pit, the dark pit or whatever that was by Camelot.
Yeah, but they didn't go with that. And then, like I said, every bad guy after that, except for I think the Ice Queen. The Ice Queen was pretty much the one that was like the biggest threat.
Well, you would have thought she was the biggest threat, but then after so long, it's like then it went back to Mr. Gold, to Rumple or Mr. Gold. Then all of a sudden,
what was she trying to do?
Then all of a sudden it was the Black Fairy, and it's like after people saw the Black Fairy, and after I heard about her, and then Well, Zelina, she done a little bit, but she didn't do to everybody. She just wanted to,
Well, it was all her thing was Regina.
Yeah. So it's like I forgot about the Ice Queen.
Like she actually did something.
What did she do?
No, I remember she was doing something with that mirror, but what was it supposed to do? Was it supposed to freeze everybody? Was it supposed to erase their memories? It was something like everybody was going to be affected, but I can't remember.
Something pretty cool. Let's just say that.
As far as the Black Fairy goes concerned, I'm thinking that she was going to be like, okay, I'm going to steal all the kids or something. We got to go to I don't know, to Cancun to get the kids back. Black Cancun. I don't know. But she didn't do nothing. The only thing she did was she basically what she did do something that I did like. She did it to where she put Emma's belief that tested Emma's belief, which was going to annihilate everyone. I can't give her that. Okay. Now her restructuring reality to be the mayor and all of that. Okay, that was played out after Regina did it, so she could have did something else.
Yeah.
But when she did that to Emma, made her question, then you can see how all of the different fairy tale places were disappearing, and then it was like, okay, if she don't believe we're dead, and then one of the best moments again when the evil queen stood up and tried to hold it back.
Yeah.
Now I actually got to give props to her for that one. She was like,
I don't think so.
That was an injustice too for those. I was playing that Dr. Fate and he was like, I don't know what he was doing. I don't know what he was doing. But like that was a great moment. But let me stop. The bulk of the show is about everybody getting their happy endings, and we're not talking about the sexual
color type. Love you long time.
We're not talking about that happy ending, but the bulk of the show is about the happy endings and stuff.
And I think it worked out pretty well, which is why they didn't need a season 7. But if they want to go ahead and do it, I have no choice but to watch and then give my critiques after.
I still say they should have killed off Hook. I know everybody liked them, but if you're gonna bring back Hook, you should have brought back Robin. And they totally underutilized Hercules and Aladdin. Like it should have took them away from Storybrooke where they got stuck in Agrabah and let half a season be them being Agrabah. They didn't do that.
What?
I don't know.
Oh, Jafar. Oh, Jafar, I love you so much. Oh, thank you.
But the guy that they did give for Jafar, I actually liked him. I thought he was all right. But in closings, arguments, anything, guys, y'all want anything else to say? Add to this discussion before we have a happy ending and conclude this Once Upon a Time?
Not me. Overall, I liked it. Like I said, I'll wait.
It's a good series, but you got to start at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You can't jump at the bandwagon on this one and play and hope to play catch up. You just can't. You got to start from ground floor on this one.
Mm-hmm. So with that being said, guys, in the comment section below, let us know what did you think about the Once Upon a Time television series. Let us know what your favorite episodes are, as well as your favorite characters, and what would you like to see as far as stories and or additional characters. Don't forget to hit that like, share, subscribe, and that notification button to get the best of what's going on the Narik Chase channel, as well as stay tuned for the Tuesdays and Thursdays when we upload more videos. And to the next video, guys, Narik Chase signing out.